Welcome to Close Up with Perri Nemiroff. Today's guests are the stars of Downton Abbey, the grand finale, Ellen Leach, Joanne Froggatt, Michelle Dockery, Hugh Bonneville. Welcome to the show. So happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So I've warned you, the first thing we do on Close Up is the essentials. They are rapid-fire-ish questions about movie making and movie loving. First one on my list for all of you today is, what is a piece of movie memorabilia that you own and cherish?
I have a piece of memorabilia of Lady Mary's wedding to Henry Talbot. I liberated the service sheet from the church.
I have the little dog that Mary gives to Matthew at the train station from season something. Can't remember, season 2.
You're all doing this right, taking the right stuff.
I have Anna's shoes that I've worn since season 3, but I kept them because they fit me.
And she's wearing them.
And I'm wearing them
Good
right
too.
now. No, I love her shoes. I love her shoes. Yeah.
I have the last menu card of our last meal in the TV show.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's where it went.
That's
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a little weird with this next one, but as someone who has some movie tattoos, I have to ask, if you each had to get a Downton-inspired movie tattoo, what would it be and why?
Anna's shoes. Just above my hip.
I'd have a tattoo. I'd have a tattoo of a Labrador.
I appreciate
I think
that
I'd have to
lot.
go all in. I'd have to do the original poster with all of us on my back. A sleeve down here.
It would be that big.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
I'd just go for it, you know.
You're gonna start a trend with that.
I don't think I'd ever regret that, ever.
I'd have to have Mr. Bates's walking stick.
Careful where you place that. Careful where you place that.
Maybe. I don't know where, maybe on my side.
Oh, that's good.
Actually, in truth, isn't it true that a fan of the show who loved Mrs. Hughes had her keys
Tattooed on her hip.
He's tattooed on her
did.
leg, on
onto
her
her
hip.
hip, but unfortunately, as Phyllis pointed out, she tattooed them on the wrong hip.
It's the wrong side.
Oh, but still, I mean, that's
That's devotion.
But not for her when she's looking in the mirror.
Still
Well, that's
counts,
true.
still
Yeah,
special. Here's a biggie. Can you each name a time when a movie or a TV show inspired you to do something? Like try a new hobby, dress as a character for Halloween, something like that.
I remember being obsessed with Romeo and Juliet and Claire Danes and that little white dress she wore with the wings, and I don't know if I had wings, but I remember putting my hair like hers, and she was a character that really sort of stood out to me
that
at that
counts.
time.
I mean, I remember watching Whatever Happened to Baby Jane when I was 8, and that's what part of the reason why I wanted to be an actor, because these women were so awful. And I was like, oh, you can behave really badly if you do that for a living. I want to do that. But in terms of like a hobby or something, Dirty Dancing.
Oh yeah, baby.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Footloose for me. I just started randomly dancing in barns.
Yeah.
The Great Escape, I just put out barbed wire in my garden and started cycling into it.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna flip that around now to get into the meat of our interview here. Do you each remember the first time you realized the power of your own work and how it could inspire others? Like the first time you saw a movie in a packed house, a memorable fan encounter, something like that?
I mean, we get some really amazing letters from fans. I think that probably would have been, for me, the first time that it really kind of hit home how, you know, comforting the show is to people and what it means to people.
Yes, I think that's really it. The audience response or people writing in, and actually I've been invited to a couple of weddings. I think they wanted one to go as Lord Grantham, but I looked in the envelope and there weren't any airplane tickets, so strangely I didn't go to the actual weddings. But it is amazing how many people have been moved in different ways by the show, and that it's meant something to either individuals, couples, or to their families. And these days we often get messages saying that they're rewatching it in memory of someone they've lost, who they used to watch the show with. I mean, I think we all get messages like that. So that's very touching. So to know that, you know, what we're doing, what we have done over these last 15 years has had an impact on certain lives is very rewarding.
Beautiful answer.
I think that actually with the first Downton movie, watching that transition from a television show to then actually having the experience of watching it with an audience. And I remember being in New York, and while the movie was on for the premiere, myself and Hugh snuck in and watched it at the back, and hearing that audience react to either a funny line or a heartwarming or moving moment, it really hit me, the power that the show had to transition to the big screen, but also the fact that we got to witness firsthand what it did to the fans of the show.
Yeah.
We've got a very special group of fans out there.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to turn it towards you personally and your careers a little. And this is a question that's kind of inspired by, I guess, the last couple of movies, the whole show for that matter, too. But in the grand finale, it really does focus a good deal on the passing of the torch at Downton from Robert to Mary. So I was wondering, did you have anyone who kind of passed the torch to you early on in your careers? Someone who, I guess, believed in you and gave you a chance when you were first starting out?
I've just popped into my head is a mentor and a friend still, a British actress called Celia Imrie, who I remember standing at the tea urn in a rehearsal room at the National Theatre, terrified out of my skin. It was my first job at the National, and I recognised her as someone, who was already quite well established, and her coming up to me, fixing her tea and saying, "Isn't it terrifying?" And she really took the sting out of the moment, and we became firm friends. So that sort of, looking after the next generation, I think is really important. Not that she's a lot older than me.
I started working professionally when I was 16, so I was definitely spent most of my first few years in the business being just terrified and kind of rocking up to work and just being so, like a rabbit in the headlights. And I worked with two actors on my first sort of proper job called Gaynor Faye and Ian Mercer. And they were so unbelievably kind to me that, I was 16 and I was on this set and it was very fast moving, and I was just kind of slightly out of my depth, and I'd only been on a set once before. And they used to each take me aside, not in front of anybody else, but they'd say, "Oh, when they say, you're casting a shadow, it means you're shadowing the other actor, you're blocking their light." And they'd just take me aside every time. I just kind of looked. Every time they saw the fear, they'd take me and they'd explain it to me. And Ian especially, and Gaynor, but for the first part of the job, I spent more time with Ian. And I'll never forget that. And I always thought to myself, that's how I want to be with younger actors as well. Yeah.
What a good example.
I was grateful for
love that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was two actresses that I worked with really early days in a play at the National called Pillars of the Community, and one was Una Stubbs, who I shared a dressing room with, actually. I went on to share a dressing room with her when I did this play, Pygmalion, and she really took me under her wing. I adored her, and I used to call her my stage mum. And Leslie Manville, who's still a really good friend of mine, and I still consider her a bit of a mentor. Sometimes I get on the phone to her and ask her about career stuff, and we've remained really good friends. And I adored Una, and I adore Leslie. Yeah.
Oh, love that.
John Kavanagh, who's a wonderful Irish actor, and he really took me under his wing in the Abbey Theatre. But what was interesting was I told this story when we were shooting this movie to Paul Giamatti, and he went, "I saw that guy in the gate in Dublin. He's one of the reasons I became an actor." So I got in touch with John and said, I think you should say that to him. And 4 times I tried to get Paul on the phone, and Paul was always like, "Nah, I'd be too embarrassed, you wouldn't do it." So John, I never got to tell you, but Paul Giamatti wants to thank you that you're one of the reasons that he's an actor.
Well, beautiful answers all around. Now, digging into this specific movie, I'm going to hit you with a huge 2-part question about your approach to playing these roles. Can you tell me something about your approach to the work that has stayed the same since day one of working on the show, but also tell me something new you had to do for your character's grand finale storyline?
Good questions.
I think your process as an actor, once you've sort of been doing it for a certain amount of time, is pretty embedded, and it's different for it's very individual for each person. How quickly you learn lines, how much you have to how much research you have to do depending on the role or the storyline, or all of that kind of stays pretty set. But the challenges day to day are always different, even from series to series or film to film. So my difference on the final film was I was pregnant. So my centre of gravity was definitely somewhere else. So carrying that tray was a little more tricky than it was before.
I felt quite guilty you having to still carry trays into my room.
I did play on it a bit.
Yeah, Mary doesn't do anything. She still lets her carry it.
Yeah, she's still there. Oh, Mary would absolutely still let her carry the tray.
I think, as Joanne says, that you still approach it in the same way. I think steeling yourself to know that this is the last time you're going to play a character that has, certainly for me, been such an integral part of my career for the last 15 years. It was, you know, just making sure that you were, I suppose, prepared for the fact that you were going to do it for the last time.
Yeah, I agree with Alan, actually. That was the biggest challenge of this film, was doing certain scenes and knowing they would be for the last time. And they were really, you know, you sort of couldn't prepare yourself for how you were going to feel in those moments. And there was definitely times where I really struggled just to get the lines out, just knowing that it would be the last time.
I think someone put down on the back of an envelope had calculated how many months we'd actually spent in the dining room, which always took forever, these scenes. And it was something like 3 months, 24 hours a day over the 15 years we'd actually filmed in that room. So that was quite an emotional farewell. But in terms of, you know, I think we'd all got to know these characters and the shorthand of working with each other quite well over the years. So that wasn't anything fresh, but saying goodbye was fresh.
I'll end with this question that I love, because I was talking to a director recently who just emphasized how happy it made him to see his cast and crew take such pride in their work and have such joy doing the work. So can each of you pinpoint the single moment of making the grand finale that brought you the most joy as an artist?
There were two very poignant moments for me. One was our goodbye, Lady Mary and Anna's goodbye, just because that was the last scene we were filming together as well. So it was our goodbye as, you know, colleagues. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be working with my friend anymore. We'll still be friends, but we won't be working together in these roles. You know, it was goodbye to Anna and Mary. And then the very final shot that was shot on the whole film was myself and Brendan, who plays Mr. Bates, and us with a newborn baby. And I was 38 weeks pregnant, holding a newborn baby, looking down going, oh my days, I'm about to have a baby. Kind of going, whoa, this is such a surreal moment. And it was the end of an era in my life. And it was the beginning of a completely new era. And it was a huge full circle moment,
Well, the goodbyes, I think, filming those moments were really poignant. And as Joe said, that scene between the two of us was, you know, it just brought back so many memories of the first scenes that we did together and the journey that we've been on since the beginning. And you know, they were challenging, those goodbyes, but really poignant, and sort of saying goodbye to one another, but knowing we would all see each other again. So those for me were definitely the most poignant. But the last scene in the film, where Mary is imagining the past, that was the most, for me, that was the most challenging and the most poignant. But it was this one moment when Simon came over to me in the second take, and I was trying not to cry. And he said, I just want you to linger a little longer on each person. And it's the joy of seeing them again, and then the pain as they leave. And that was it for me. I was just, it was a really big moment. And it's kind of what we were all, you know, it's what we're feeling, you know, what we were all feeling in those goodbyes.
And my very last shot was with Elizabeth McGovern, Cora, and it was the perfect farewell shot. I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen the film, but it's outdoors and the elements were very kind, and it's a beautiful shot, and it was a beautiful ending of an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Want to take us home on this one?
I feel that most poignant and most proud is the fact that this is, I guess, a love letter to the last 14 years.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to say congratulations on the movie. Thank you so much for being here. To everybody out there, that is a wrap on this edition of Close Up with Perri Nemiroff. Make sure to catch Downton Abbey, the grand finale on the big screen beginning September 12th.